Welcome to the Get It Done podcast, where you'll find me, Bradley Simmons, weight loss and fitness expert, chatting to other experts on why health is the key to success. If you haven't heard of our 5 pillars that get it done, they are mental, physical, emotional, social, and financial health. This podcast is going to help you build your 5 pillars, and therefore is going to build your success and, most importantly, your happiness. Let's get it done. Kori, welcome to the Get It Done podcast, where we talk about health is the key to success. And you're a man who just showcases that on a daily basis. You put yourself through tough challenges, but you also came from a place where it wasn't exactly healthy. So you definitely changed your life around. And I think a lot of young men will be inspired by that, and women, of course. And I've seen your journey, mate, and I definitely admire it. So for those that don't know who you are, quickly just explain who you are and what your goal is.
Yeah. Hi, firstly. Cheers for having me on. I like doing this with people that you're actually like friends with, you know, because it makes it a little bit less nerve-wracking, doesn't it?
It's a conversation, mate.
Yeah, like normally I come in and I'm like, a bit nervous to talk about it. But yeah, I'm Kori Sampson, 28. Been in London for 5 years, which wasn't the start of the unhealthy journey, but it was definitely a big impact on the unhealthy part of the journey. But yeah, I went sober 2 years ago, which was 2 years in September, which is the anniversary. I had a bit of a drink substance problem on and off for like probably quite a few years. Went through stages of like being healthy and like giving up stuff, and did bodybuilding when I was like 19, 20.
Okay.
Competed, went on stage and stuff, which to be honest is another extreme. So
it's a massive extreme.
Yeah, and you could say what I do now with ultra running is an extreme. So to be honest, like it's never like health is a big focus, but it's never like the focus with what I do. And it almost like you talk about balance and things like that with health. Sometimes like I go the other way and it's a bit unhealthy. But there's obviously unhealthy things to put yourself through. So I think like,
well, byproduct of what you're doing now, how health comes with it.
Yeah, so
you're
like
constantly active, you eat well, you look after your health, you don't drink alcohol.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I'm limping around from a race that I just done. And like,
it's true.
You look at it, like I made like when I did 4 weeks ago, I did 100 miles, which was the biggest thing I've done over the last couple of years. And that was pretty unhealthy.
What country was that in?
So I did the circumference of Ibiza. So that was the story was 2 years sober, go back to Ibiza, which is where I like made the decision to completely quit alcohol, drinking, substances.
Was that after a day in Ocean Beach? Was it?
Yeah, it was after 5 days of a lot of stuff, but it also because it was a week before I did London Marathon for the first time, and I'd done this like massive training block. So I'd trained really hard, gave up lots of stuff, like was really disciplined, and then I was going Ibiza for a 30th birthday. Said I wasn't going to drink, I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going to chill, just like spend time with my friends. And I like lied to myself because it completely went out the window after day one. Ended up meeting my missus there, which is a massive part of my life as well. So there was a positive, but at the same time, I come back a little bit guilty. I think integrity is like a massive part of me and my values, and I wasn't being integral with myself. So that was the main reason why I was like, right, let's see if I can give it up completely. Like I never really made the decision to 100% give it up. So I'd go through phases of like 2 or 3 months of not drinking, not going out, being really disciplined. Like I did a boxing match and I'd done all these things that I trained for, and I did stick to it during, and then it would just completely go out the window. And then I'd just,
you see that with a lot of boxers, they do a massive camp, and then next minute, like Ricky Hatton used to do it, and he used to go the opposite.
Get really fat and blow up. And
that can't be good for your health.
So like the only thing I can kind of lean on for that whole period is I still looked good. So like I was going on holiday and doing all these things, going out every weekend, Thursday to Saturday, Sunday morning, not really sleeping. I'd still go to the gym on Sunday morning, like after a 2-day sort of bender or something. And I don't know how, because now I couldn't think of anything worse than being hungover and going, even like just going for an easy gym session. Like, I don't know. But
that goes to show like you might be in the best shape of your life or good nick, and you're not healthy at all.
Yeah. Like I look good. I was in Ibiza with my abs out and all that.
Yeah,
and
so your confidence is good.
Yeah,
But what you're actually doing to your gut microbiome and your brain is terrible.
I was a bit lost.
Okay, so let's go back, because obviously I remember when I first saw you, mate. It was too hot to handle. That's when I first saw you, and obviously that's the start of, I guess, your journey when it comes to Instagram and your following and stuff. So did you have a bad relationship with alcohol then, or was it after that?
Yeah, so I did. So I went on to handle when I was like 22, 23.
Yeah. I actually think they asked me to go on the same season as you.
Oh,
as
really?
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so
That would have been dangerous.
we filmed it a year before as well. I probably wouldn't have made it on if you got on, bro. Yeah, we filmed it a year before, and then it come out that year. So before I went on there, and in between, I was a little bit reckless.
Yeah.
But that was when I was back in Plymouth. So before I moved to London, I moved here when I was 18 for a little bit, and then went back and then did the bodybuilding for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then started going out and doing all this stuff. That was a really destructive part of my life because I was quite young. I was a bit naive.
Yeah.
I didn't really have much to lose, so I was almost
You got to make
worse.
those mistakes when you're younger. I'm glad you're doing that then, not now.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always been very extreme, like addictive personality, get caught up in things very fast, like was with the wrong people. No one really gave a shit. We were just being idiots. And yeah, it was very destructive. So it was like, started happening like midweek and stuff, which is not really what you want to be doing, going out and then going to work and things like that. It was just a bit too much. And then so kind of gave it all up, went to Thailand, did like a Mai Tai camp, was
but like to find yourself, you know, that famous quote, find yourself.
It did really help, like changing the environment, like all of that
Yeah.
stuff. Like went out there, didn't really drink, did like 6 weeks, and then we went into lockdown. So again, was like at home with family and stuff. That was pretty chilled, was actually really nice. And then the show come out. And then I moved to London, and I thought I'd kind of managed to like break some habits and things.
And
then
got sucked into, obviously you became a reality TV star, you got invited to all these events.
Yeah.
You got sucked
free
in.
drinks and parties, and I was going to some mad places and doing some really cool stuff. But then it was like, I was hiding this like other side of my life where I'd be going out all weekend, not sleeping, feeling like shit. Just with friends that kind of still probably doing the same thing now, but
and they become acquaintances and eventually, don't they? Because I guess your values just completely change.
Yeah, and I just think like I was like 25 then,
yeah,
and I could see myself still being like the same person I was 5 years time, doing the same thing.
There's a lot of people. If you go to Raffles now on a Thursday, there's still same geezers in there
people
doing the same thing, and it's sad to see.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be that person. Do that, and so then I started to like shift. I was always doing like fitness stuff, even when I come off the TV and doing like live workouts and things like that on my Instagram. But then it really like took a shift, like when I went sober and did London Marathon, and that's when I started running. And
because like obviously you grew a massive following, obviously from Too Hot to Handle, right?
Yeah.
And obviously they all they want to see to begin with is your relationship. Who you dating? Are you being that F-boy, fuck boy, for example? And then obviously when you transitioned into fitness, did you see good engagement with that, which gave you the confidence to maybe to go down that route as well? Or were you just like, do you know what, I need to do this for my health?
Yeah, do you know what? It was weird because like obviously I did have like a big female following.
Yeah.
And they did just kind of want to see me topless, and I used to get like 250,000 likes on a photo.
Wow, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like mad
and
numbers.
You can get a dopamine from that, so you so you just stick to it.
Yeah, you get caught up in it. But then it's like, I think like more like it wasn't specifically fitness, but it kind of helped that I was fit and looked good. So in turn, it kind of helped. But at the same time, it wasn't exactly like what I thought it was. And I thought like I'd get this following and then I'd do all this stuff and it would make me like happy and fulfilled. And it was like completely not even like making a lot of money. Cause like obviously all of that comes with money. And I was, I got to a point I was like, this isn't exactly what I want to be doing. I wanted to transition, and I think it was difficult at a time, and I think I had to like say no to certain jobs, and I probably could have played the circuit of going on more shows, dating the right person, or well, the wrong person probably.
The wrong person for the sake of it.
But like just trying to get press and like chasing that reality TV, doing like trending things on TikTok and doing all this stuff that would have kept pushing me into the wrong direction. And I kind of just took a step back and thought like, what do I want to do? And where do I want to go with it? And then I made that decision. And
well, you made a good decision because, do you know what I mean? You could go down a slippery slope where you're on all these shows. Next minute you're desperate and you're just doing anything for a bit of cash, and you haven't thought about the longevity. And then your following are going to see what you're doing, and they lose interest in you. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Just by having a big following. Yeah. So I think what you've done is great, brilliant.
Cheers. Yeah. It was weird. Like I did lose following and stuff in the beginning, and I went from like 800k down to like 500 and something at one point.
That's fine.
And then
that's fine though, isn't it?
But then grew it back to what it is now, and it's even bigger than it was before. And so now, I think people here for for the right reasons. I think some people just want to see me with my top off still.
No, of course, I get that.
Yeah.
I've got that as well.
Yeah.
And I've had to change over time. At the start, it was just selfies, the odd client here and there. My following was growing. I thought, this ain't longevity. And I actually remember I wanted to work with Men's Health. And I said, we're not going to work with you because you're not actually inspiring men. You're following strongly women, right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you're right. This ain't fulfilling me anymore. Yeah, I'm getting loads of likes and I'm getting that little bit of dopamine. And then I take another selfie, excited for all those likes again. Yeah. But that's not fulfilling me anymore. I'm mature. Yeah. So I went down a path where I just started focusing on helping men. And then I got the Men's Health, and then you did the GQ. And I'm like, okay, this is fulfillment. And this is real dopamine. I'm actually making a difference here. Yeah. And I actually can see a path and longevity in my path. Yeah. And it's important.
Yeah, like I get like when I did the race just gone on the weekend, like I probably got like 200 comments or something on a post, like 10k likes, whatever. But it got like, it was all like blokes being like sick, like well done, like this is class, that you're like machine. Yeah, like people like compare me to the Avengers and stuff like that, all mad stuff, which is like sick. And then before it would have been like 1,000 comments, but it was all like just emojis, and it was just like younger audience people just like putting a fire emoji on it, and it's like, what has more value? Is it like the guys that are saying this stuff, which is actually pretty cool? Yeah. And then also in turn, they're going to then go and try to do stuff. Because I get messages all the time like, bro, I want to do my first marathon because of you, do this. And
exactly. So you're actually changing people's lives.
Yeah. And that's the like fulfillment I'm actually getting.
Yeah. That's good.
Which is what I want to do, really. That's like the aim.
Mate, I'm the same. Like if a guy asks me for a photo, for example, where he wants to have chat with me for 5-10 minutes, I'm like, I'm buzzing with that. Yeah, if a girl does it, of course it's still nice, but it's not the same feeling as a geezer does it. Yeah. Because obviously with what we do, we are also going to get quite a lot of jealousy, and that's going to happen with it. Yeah.
I do get a lot of like fitness girls that are into like trying to get into certain things, even like CrossFit and things like that, still like and like know, like kind of understand what I'm doing, and like the so
they're talking to you from a fitness point of
that's
view.
really cool as well. I love that as well. That's really cool. But
that's good.
Yeah, it's more than just like, oh, like sometimes they don't even know your name. They're just like, you was on Love Island or Too Hot to Handle. Get it wrong even. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But I could be in like Saudi in a mall and someone would come up to me and do that, and then it's not the same as like someone seeing me running in Richmond Park, like, bro, I'll follow you, like, I've just done 10k, like,
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's having a purpose, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you can be really famous, could earn really loads of money, but if you haven't got a purpose, or you haven't got an audience that really build into your purpose and actual your morals, then I think you're going to struggle. And I've seen that with a lot of my celebrity clients. Yeah, they struggle.
I think being authentic's like the most important part of it, because I've got like people that I know that are doing the influencer stuff in there. They're trying to like feed into the algorithm, and they're doing things just because they know other people have done well doing it. Yeah. And then you build this like audience that isn't really your audience. And then it's like, at the end of the day, they'll see through it, or you'll just end up changing to someone you don't want to be. And that's what I've always really held myself accountable to, be like who I want to be my authentic self. And like, doesn't mean I want to be like David Goggins, but I am a little bit hard on myself, the way I speak to myself, and like other people around me. Yeah, and I think everyone's a little bit soft and trying to be a bit relatable. And they're posting stuff on Instagram like, oh, I'm really nervous about doing this track session today. Like, I don't get that. I don't get nervous when I'm going to go do a 100k race, really, until I'm like almost on the start line, and then it kind of sinks in, and I'm like, I'm only nervous because I want to do well, not because I'm nervous of doing it. I know I'm going to do it. So it's like, not like to the extreme of David Goggins, where he's like, don't be a pussy, don't do this. But I want to be authentic with my audience and be like, look, how do you find the motivation? I don't find the motivation. I just get on with it.
Yeah, you just do it.
Like, I don't need to find motivation. So that's how I am with myself in the way that I present myself now.
Yeah, and that's good, because you're right. Because there's going to be so many people seeing what someone else is doing. Okay, I need to do that to try and build my following, etc. And they actually they get kind of a bit lost. Yeah. And obviously what you're doing with the challenges, which is amazing, man. I'm like, fucking hell, that's tough. Because I've done a lot of challenges when I was younger. And do you know what? I need to get back into, and I'm excited. Did you know that 1 in 5 have a gym membership but don't actually go? If you're listening and that sounds all too familiar, I have the solution. Get It Done, my wellness app, provides you with the choice between personalized gym guides, Goal Pacific guides, and hundreds of home workouts. You'll also get exclusive access to our community events and retreats. So whether it's time to cancel your gym membership and work out at home, or bring some structure and success to your gym schedule, the GID app can do just that for £18.99 a month. Not only that, We provide recipes and nutritional guidance so you can partner your workout regime with the right meal plans for optimal results. Life's too short to pay for a gym membership you're not using. It's time to get it done. But there's a lot of people out there I feel like are doing these challenges just for the sake of likes and following, and that's what they're concerned with. It's not actually a purpose for them.
Yeah.
Have you found that as well?
I love it.
Yeah, no, you love it.
Mate,
And I think you do very well.
I love hurting myself. I
Yeah.
don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
Like, well, one of my mates done the one on the weekend with us. So originally I done Ultra X, which is this race just gone, which was 115k. I did 220 over 5 days with them in March in Tanzania, and it was like life-changing experience, like so hard. Like I fell apart. There was like ups and downs, all this stuff. And then I went and did 100 miles. And then so this race was almost just like 4 weeks after. It was almost like a bit of a B race. Like, I'm not really racing it. I'm just going to take a couple of my mates and I'm going to get them through it. I'll probably be like injured after the 100 miles. I'll just like get through it. But because I felt pretty good after the 100 miles, I was like, maybe I should actually race it. In like, one of the lads, he had a bad time and it took him like 6 hours longer than me on the first day.
Wow.
So I come like 7th place on day one. And he was like, you're actually like built for this. This is like my thing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm getting to that point now. I think it's took me a couple of years, but now I'm like,
Are you gonna take this seriously and actually become an athlete with it and try and compete?
So yeah, next year I'm racing at one of the biggest ones in August. So I've got to qualify in March, race that in August, but it's like 55k, and then I'm gonna race 100 miles for UTMB, same brand. Race 100 miles in America in October. See how I get on.
It's crazy because people going, I can't even be asked to do a 5 kilometer run, let alone a 100 kilometer run.
Yeah.
What would you say to those people who are just like couch potatoes, haven't got the motivation, don't want to change?
Oh, mate, I think if you don't want to change that, you're not going to change, and you can look at all these people doing all this stuff, and
let me play you a quote. Actually, it was on my story. I saw it and I shared up my stories. It was a good one.
What you're not changing, you're choosing.
What you're not changing, you're choosing.
You got something
That's kind
life,
of-
you
I mean,
complaining.
if you're not changing, you're choosing.
Yeah.
So you can complain, but you're not making any changes. So you're choosing to be in that scenario.
Yeah, I think as well. I think when you change the way you look at stuff, I think things start to change as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, obviously I've always been pretty motivated. Like, I've been in the gym since I was like 16, 17. Like, I remember one of the first things I started doing was like just sit-ups at home, like 200 sit-ups every day. It's because I went back to football after Christmas and my manager was like, mate, you like, I was lagging around the pitch. I used to hate the running side of it. And he was like, mate, you've eaten a bit too much in you over Christmas, mate. You're looking a bit bulky and that. And then, mate, that stuck with me. And then I was like, sit-ups, pull-ups, press-ups. Then I started gymming, and then, but then it snowballs into more positive stuff. It's almost like just a spark.
But that shows resilience, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would do the other way and then eat even more.
Yeah.
And play the victim.
And start.
Do you know what I mean? So the fact that you've got that resilience, go, do you know what? He's right. And that's going to inspire me, motivate me to carry on. And I feel like in today's society, it's like people do play the victim.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do need that kick up their backside.
Yeah,
the old school way.
I think people need a bit of tough love sometimes. And I definitely did. Maybe it doesn't work for everyone and it can make you go back into your shell and go the other way, like you said. But I definitely think there needs to be more people talking about it and like putting a bit of pressure on. And like, that's what I'm a bit like I've seen people posting like, oh, I had a hard time at the marathon this weekend. Like, they're on their like third or fourth marathon. It took them like 8 hours, mate. Like, you're not trying hard enough.
No.
And I think people I don't think people should be watching people doing that and talking about it on social media.
No, of course
it's
not.
like, it's setting a bad example. Like, whereas
8 hour marathon, that's quite long, isn't
I
it?
reckon I could walk it in it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like,
so what do they need to be doing?
Unless you've got a physical impairment or even a mental sort of thing, that's like not. Yeah. That's just not trying hard enough.
And a lot of people say, but they finish it. That's the most important thing. Yeah, but 8 hours is like they haven't put the training in.
Or like, oh, you just got to enjoy it and all this. It's like, but well,
are you going to enjoy? Are you going to enjoy 8 hour marathon? I don't think anyone is.
Nah, and I wouldn't enjoy the feeling I'd get from that, because that's not feeling accomplished. But the feeling you get from like training really hard and like actually working towards something and then creating this like result, that's like the feeling you're actually wanting. Well,
I think that not enough people experience the sense of achievement.
Yeah.
That sense of achievement builds serious self-esteem and confidence. Like, you prove to yourself, oh, I can do that. And it builds resilience. So if you get 8 hours in a marathon, you need to do better. You have to, and it's that tough love.
Exactly.
You need to be training, follow a program for one. You need to do some strength training, and you need to build up 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. You have to build up and change it around. So you have to follow a program. And if you're not putting that work in, it's very likely you're going to do another 8-hour marathon.
Yeah, and that's what I mean as well. It's like it's not your first marathon. Do you know what I mean? It's like you've done it before and you're going backwards. Like fair enough. Like my first marathon was like 3:18. I trained really hard.
Yeah.
I started in a pretty good position, right?
Yeah.
Years of football and just fitness in general. But I trained my ass off and then I pushed myself on the day through like, I was like 199 heart rate for like 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? Which is like,
that's
not,
yeah.
That was just mental
your
more
VO2
than,
is mad.
in like
what was your time?
3:18 the first time.
And then what's your best time?
I did 3:03.
Okay, so you want to get under, under 3.
But that's what I'm saying. So like I did that. A couple months later, I did a trail race. Then I did the 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then like I've done a marathon since chilling, and it was like still 3:30. And I was like an easy run. I was pacing someone. I just did it because it was a PR thing, and I wasn't training for it. But it's like you can't go that backwards.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like.
No. Well, it's just it comes back to discipline. It comes to what is your goal and how do I achieve that goal. So you put a plan in action. You got to invest in time and money to obviously the right gear, the right program, the right coaching. Join run clubs to get that inspiration and find that environment, which I think is massively important.
Yeah.
And then the consistency. It always comes down to consistency.
Yeah, I think consistency is massive. It just compounds as well, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm always trying to improve like every day, even if it's like improve my sleep or improve my whatever I'm doing, even if I'm like injured and I've got a bit of a setback, so I've got to take a bit of a step back from pushing myself in training. It's like, what can I do? Can I improve my recovery or my routine some way? Can I work on my business or my like the year that I went sober, I also met Emily. I worked on loads of things emotionally, and I may have had like a bit of a bad year in between where I went from reality TV star, like fast fashion sort of like promo stuff on Instagram, whatever, to then wanting to get into fitness, but people not recognizing me as like someone of that sort of whatever. I had a bit of a weird year with like money and stuff, but it's like I was working on other aspects of my life. And then training went mad, and then that's been a big focus, obviously.
Well, financially, sometimes you've got to step backwards to go forward.
Yeah, exactly. Which did happen, and I'm very grateful for that. And now I'm doing stuff that I actually enjoy. And I'm proud to say that I work with certain brands. And things like that,
who are you working with now? You want to work on Under Armour?
Yeah, so Under Armour, which was like one of my biggest things because we signed a year with them, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Under Armour and Sports Direct.
Nice.
And then I just signed a big deal with Trip. With equity and stuff like that as well.
Wicked,
which is really cool.
Equity is important. I always do equity now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I just used to get these big sums of money, but equity is key.
Yeah, exactly. And then it makes you like want to be
part of the furniture
as well, because you are like you're going to benefit from the end of it.
So when you do create content for them, you're like, okay, this is good because I'm part of this. Because there's a lot of brands out there that you will be with them for a year and 2 years, like I've done, and they go, all right, cheers, thank you, Brad. Loved your content for the last 2 years. We've got new ideas. I'm like, where the fuck am I going to get that money from now?
Exactly.
So when you're part of the furniture and you can obviously maybe be on the board or you have regular conversations with them, then you're going to have more of a passion to create content for this brand.
Yeah. And I've got some big stuff that we haven't signed off properly yet coming up, which is cool.
And that goes to show all the content that you're creating, and obviously you're changing people's lives so people see that. You're not just an influencer who is branded, he loves himself, he's taking videos of himself in the shower.
Doing like, run a 5K with
exactly.
Me sort of
but look, we can do that. We can add that in, which we do.
Yeah, you have to.
We have to.
Bit, like,
look,
even
we
if
both
you don't
do
want
it, and it helps. For sure it does. But it can't be the main thing.
Yeah.
I get it done, mate. We talk about the 5 pillars of health, right? So we talk about the physical health, mental health. We talk about emotional health. We talk about social health, and we talk about financial health. Yeah. So first of all, I want to just ask you about your physical health. How do you feel? Obviously, I know you push yourself hard and you're now injured. Yeah. But physically, do you feel the best you've felt in a long time?
Yeah, like I go like on and off. Like I'll be like my fittest or my strongest or look the best I've looked or whatever. Obviously, like that changes anyway, like with your goals and things like that. But yeah, my physical health is top because it's been such a priority. But from everything, obviously. Yeah, like I have a bit of like injury stuff, like my toes are in bits from the race, which will chill out in about a week.
Yeah.
And I've had like a chronic tendonitis in my hamstring, which is now the focus for the next couple of months. But that's just been in the background for like a year. But my actual like physical health, the way that I'm eating, the way that I'm like.
Have you had your bloods tests recently?
Yeah, I've done that over the last 2 years, like several times.
And how's your testosterone levels, for example?
So a year ago, some things were lacking.
Yeah.
Testosterone was like mid,
Okay.
which was strange, but also like things like creatine in my blood was high, which means like muscle breakdown and things like that. And I think that was just from pushing myself in training quite a lot.
Yeah.
Sleep wasn't great and things like that. Since then, with like the right supplementation with calcium and things like that, I've got rid of like a bone stress injury. My testosterone is really high, which is actually from taking like ashwagandha and sleeping properly.
Okay,
that's the only two things.
Yeah, it's
that
mad, isn't it?
Kind of changed it. Yeah,
so 1 in 4 men at the age of 30 and above, testosterone levels are so bad.
Yeah,
and men that struggle with like concentration, creativity, ambition, libido.
Yeah.
Go and check your testosterone levels out and speak to a nutritionist.
So mine was like normal, but like I would have thought from the training I was doing, it would have been higher.
Yeah.
But then since then, this year it's actually now at top range of what is like a healthy range.
Yeah.
But I think sleep's like, obviously that's where you produce it. Sleep's the most important part of it for your recovery, for your testosterone, for your hormones, everything. But yeah, everything's like dialed in. Like I'm like.
So you literally think like an athlete,
mate.
You are an athlete.
I live, That's how I try to though. I wanted like, there's always no stone unturned with all these things. So like when I was doing Ibiza, I was training in the heat chamber because I knew I was going to be in the heat, and all of this stuff, like everything ties up, and the little things are so important.
Yeah. I would say about 90% of my clientele know exactly what they need to do with their physical health and their nutrition, but what they lack is accountability. And that's where I step in as an online coach. I give you your tailored program, your meal plan, and I give you that guidance and support throughout the whole journey to make sure that you get the results that you want and you progress to a stronger, healthier, resilient individual. So if you want to step things up and really improve the way you feel, the way you look, then my online coaching is for you. So if you want to receive 25% off my online coaching, simply click the link in the description of this podcast, complete the inquiry form and type transformation to make sure that you receive your 25% discount. I'll be in touch. We'll have a video call so I can understand a little bit more about yourself. I'll explain how my online coaching works, and then we'll get to work and we'll get it done. Life is too short not to feel at your very best.
Even on like a micro
I
level.
say to my clients all the time, like, I don't expect you to win a gold medal anytime soon, but I want you to train like an athlete, eat like an athlete, think like an athlete, and recover like one. And every aspect of your life will change, and for the good.
I think thinking like an athlete's probably one of the hardest things when you actually get into the serious stuff. And like I had some sports psychology stuff. Like we've been talking about motivations of why I do things, how I like push myself. Like competitiveness is one of them, and I think it's actually quite a healthy thing to have, is to understand that. So like if you are competitive and you compare yourself to other people, it's actually really good because it can help propel you forward. And I think people that don't compare themselves, or like pretend that they don't, or like lie about it, are almost holding themselves back.
Is it depending on what you're comparing? Is it someone who's faster, quicker than you, stronger than you, or someone who's got the G-Wagon, someone's got the Rolex?
Yeah.
What
so
you
like
compare
it's what your goals are.
What your goals are.
But like I'll be like in a race, and like even this weekend, I was looking at like where I was on the first day I was 5th place most of the day.
Yeah.
So I was actually really motivated. So I was like asking them at the checkpoints, like where am I, like who's come through, how far is the next person? Like people would come in behind me. I'm like, shit, I need to get a move on. And then like on the second day, because there was a 50k race, so there's people that were just doing the 50k. So it was actually really hard mentally for me because people were racing fresh.
Yeah, cool.
So I'm like camped. I just
you
slept
don't know,
in it.
and you don't know if they're doing 50 or 100.
So you can kind of like recognize the people doing the 100 because you might have seen them. But in your head, you're like, you're not 100%. You didn't know where anyone was, because if you got to an aid station, you could say like, where am I? They could be like, you're 36th on the whole thing, but like technically you're only 10th. So I almost like struggled to start with, but because I knew that I compare myself and I knew that was the case, I could understand that and flip it into a positive. So I could be like, I'm still here with like 20 of the people that have just started running, and I'm like 80k in, and I've slept in a tent, and I'm still running with them, and they're like running down this hill, and I'm running the same speed as them. It's like, actually, I'm doing really well here.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
a lot of it is just mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because your body was screaming at you, saying, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you need to stop." But your body's got like David Hoggins in a way.
Yeah, but I'm like,
keep going, right?
Like all that work that I put in the day before to get to where I was, like, I needed to keep pushing. And I did. I was using like, I was looking at the map, and like one of my mates was a couple hours behind me on the first day, so he done quite well as well. It was one of his first big events.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing when I got into aid station 3 on the list, he got into aid station 2 30 minutes behind me on the second day. So I was only like 30 minutes ahead of him. So I was like, shit, I need to like sort myself out because I'm moving a little bit slower. I was like 16th place on the second day.
Exactly. So you can be happy for your friend, but you also
I'm happy for him that he's doing well. But I'm like, no, I need to be like, And then the next one, I was an hour and a half ahead of him.
Yeah.
So like, do you know what I mean? I was like using stuff like that to actually like help me to move forward.
Yeah, nice.
And I think I do that with life. I chase like these big goals and I set myself like high standards.
Yeah.
But I think it does really help. It's a lot of pressure, but if you can deal with it, it helps push you forward further than you would if you was just.
This is the thing. I think some
taking it
people.
easy.
I always say there's two people in this world. There's creators and there's consumers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the minority are probably creators. But like myself, yourself, it's just we put ourselves under so much pressure, whether it's business or it's putting your body into crazy things.
Yeah.
But I thrive off that.
Yeah.
If I sat in a comfort zone, I think I'd really struggle, and I do. And that's probably why I always need to change the scenery or need to open another business or set myself goals. I just thrive through it. Even the stressful times or when you're in pain, I'm like, I absolutely love this.
Yeah. I think, there's things like sometimes stress can be negative for like performance sort of thing. And I found that with Ibiza, I had like
well, let's talk about mental health as well, mate. Like obviously, let's go on the mental health side of things. Like you said with Ibiza, you're drinking a lot of alcohol, you're sleep deprived, your cortisol levels can be sky high. You're not going to perform well, not just running, but also in your emotional health, your ability to think straight, everything.
Yeah, so like this time when I was sober, obviously doing the 100 miles on Ibiza, the prep for it was so hard that I was like really stressed out leading up to it. So you notice it when you track all your like sleep and your recovery and stuff, mate. My like recovery was really bad, like for weeks, like leading up to it. And it did get into my head a little bit and it did make it a bit more difficult. I think when you're like stressed and you're not happy, pain, you're worse at dealing with pain. Yeah. And your performance just depletes. But obviously, when I was drinking and doing all that stuff, I wasn't doing anything like I am now because I couldn't.
You can't. Your body can't deal with it.
And like, I thought at the time maybe it was what I wanted or it was fun because I was going on holiday, going to all these cool places, going to these mad parties. Yeah. But like, you realize when you take all that stuff out the equation, like it's not actually making you happy, and it's not.
Well, it's good that you did it younger, and I feel like I did it younger. Now I can't think of anything worse than going on a table with bottles of sparklers. Yeah, that I can't think of anything worse now. I was at the pub the other day with the boys, just having a Guinness, which is fine, and we were playing Jenga. I was like, mate, how things have changed. 2 years we've definitely been in a club. Yeah, and I guess it's a bit of maturity. You realise that this dopamine isn't actually good for me because I got 3 days of absolutely feeling rubbish.
Yeah, and I think as well, like when you are in them situations and you do it sober, you soon realise like it's not even that enjoyable.
Yeah, go to a club sober and then you realise.
It puts you right off. Yeah. And to be honest, like for a period of time I was doing that and I was like, I found it quite easy to, when I was trying to go sober in the beginning, like doing 3 or 4 months at a time, I'd still go out every weekend just because I needed that like social sort of
which
thing.
is still important. Social health is really important.
So I'd still go to a club but get home at like 3 and then I was still not sleeping properly.
Yeah,
so it's still not like, and then I'm still not like feeling good the next day. Look like I'm hungover, but I'm not just because I haven't had a drink. But I was using it as an excuse to be like, that's all right. But now, like, mate, I'm in bed by like 10 o'clock.
And look, where'd you get your social dopamine from now? It's like your run clubs.
Like early mornings, like we go out and do like half marathon on the weekend. But there'll be a couple of us like have a coffee afterwards, get some like healthy breakfast.
Exactly.
Like, feel so much better doing that.
And
I love it as well. Like,
and you're in a really good relationship as well. So I always find like I look at your relationship with him and I think brilliant goals because you've got a partner that's with you. Yeah. They're not peer pressuring you to go out clubbing.
Yeah. Do you know what?
And she gets you.
She went sober. We went to Marbella this year in the summer, and then she went sober from that because she was drinking. Like she wasn't really going out or anything. Since we've been together, like in the beginning, we went out a little bit together, and then obviously I was going sober at the time, so I'd not be drinking, wanted to go home at like midnight. Yeah, and obviously there's like a tiny bit of conflict there in the beginning, and then we got around that, and then it was fine, and she'd go out with her friends every now and then, and it wasn't like she didn't drink much, but now she's completely given it up. I think it took me like. Not trying, but like a year of like influencing her. Yeah, you
didn't control it. You just influenced her because she saw you like obviously testosterone levels high. Yeah, looking healthy, looking good,
and feeling like she was jealous. Like we'd go like when we was in Marbella, like I'd get up the next morning, we'd be out all day. She'd be boozing with like our friends and stuff.
Which is fine.
Which is fine. I'd get up and go to the gym, then we'd go play paddle, and she'd be like just getting out of bed at 10, feeling like shit, hungover, and then she's like jealous of me because I was like feeling great. Yeah, that was the only thing. And then we was wasting like couple days of a holiday.
Yeah.
Because like when we did go away, we'd do these things, but I'd still be getting everything done that I needed to do.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, like obviously she's not into like ultra running, nothing.
No, and
She's
you
into
can't force her
fitness
to do
and-
that, but she's
No.
as long as in fitness.
Yeah, and we eat well together,
Yeah.
and I do all the cooking anyway. But like we eat well together and whatnot. So
Could you
makes sense.
date? Let's say you and Emily weren't together. Could you date someone that wasn't into their fitness or looking after their health?
Nah.
Nah, I say that all the time.
Nah.
People call me shallow for it. I was like, no, that's just my preference. I need to be with someone who takes care of their health.
I think it's like it's self-respect.
Yeah, self-respect.
And it's like I don't want to have any conflict like raising a kid
Yeah,
in a certain way or whatever. Like I'm to the extreme, and I understand that. And even like Emily isn't to the extreme. Like she looks after herself, and obviously she's a model, so her job is to look good. So she has to. But like even like the difference between us is quite drastic with discipline in like the way that I am with my routine and the way that I live and getting up early and going training and stuff. So I couldn't do it.
yeah.
At all.
Talk to me about your emotional health, because people are like, what's the difference between emotional and mental health? It's just how you deal with situations.
Yeah.
And I guess like back in the day when you was drinking alcohol, etc., your emotional health would have been doing things that were out of your control. Obviously, you're tired, you make rash decisions, bad decision making. You might be a bit tempered, for example. Like, how's that changed?
Yeah, I think there's like two parts to that, but like one of them is like doing all these really hard things, like doing the 100-miler. Like I didn't sleep. Obviously, you're going the other way again, no sleep. Like it was emotionally draining, and it was tough on my mental side. But it makes little things day to day seem so easy and not an issue. And it's very hard for me to like think of something as a problem or an issue, and I kind of just get on with stuff. I work my way around it. Everything's solvable. Like at the end of the day, it's not that deep. So
that's good.
I've got very good at dealing with things, stress, emotions, like all of that stuff.
Well, this is the thing. If you push yourself through hard experiences, life is easy, right?
Yeah.
Like people say the ice bath is obviously it's classed as a bit of a trend, but I get in the ice bath constantly and it's horrible those 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes don't get better.
Yeah.
But that tough 3 minutes makes everything else seem so simple.
But ice baths get easier, right?
Yeah.
But the water doesn't get warmer.
No.
It's the same, but like your mental
well, they're getting
side-
harder now because of the fucking temperature.
But like you can deal with them because you're building that mental resilience, and I
exactly.
think that's so important.
Yeah.
However, like when I was like drinking and going out and doing all this stuff like every single weekend, I was like depleting like my mental health shield.
Yeah.
And I think like I spoke about this before, but like we have like our physical health and our mental health, and when we do this stuff, all the healthy stuff tops it all up, and it keeps you a bit protected. But like when something that you can't control, like a variable like family issues or financial anything that would really stress you out does come, you can't deal with it properly, and then you start getting physical problems because the amount of stress you're getting, you're not sleeping, like all this stuff. So I think like keeping on top of all that stuff is so important.
Well, like my dad was a prime example yesterday. He was stressed. He's renovating his place in Isha right now with my mum, and he came home and he bought a massive packet of crisps and a massive packet of minstrels. I said, Dad, are you all right? He goes, I just needed this today. I said, Dad, if you actually went outside, we went for a walk instead, you would have been fine. Yeah. But you're choosing to eat crisps and have loads of chocolate as your way to deal with things. Yeah. That's not right, because you can go down a bad path, which only people do. Yeah. I speak to a lot of my clients. Say, yeah, Brad, I drink red wine every night because it helps me deal with my stress. Yeah. I say, yeah, but that alcohol, for example, is really affecting your sleep. And if you don't get good sleep, you're always going to be in a form of stress.
And then your hormones are off, and
your cortisol levels are sky high. Exactly.
You're going to look worse.
It's a bad cycle. So you need to think about, okay, I'm stressed. How do I deal with that stress? What's the best way to do it? Yeah. Meditation, breath work, steam room sauna, exercise. You got to do it. Accountability is most people's downfall when it comes to reaching health and fitness goals. You've got the gym membership, you've got the best intentions, you know what you want to achieve, but you just can't seem to stay consistent, so you give up or settle for little or no results. My one-to-one coaching is designed to create a specific plan for you to follow with your goals in mind. But with the added bonus of regular check-ins and communication, you will have the accountability you're missing, and therefore no choice but to level up and get it done. So if you're listening to this episode and it's time to level up, hold yourself accountable and get the results you want, I'll give you 20% off my one-to-one coaching. All you have to do is include the word transform in your inquiry form, link in the episode description.
Yeah, I think movement is like the fundamental for me. Like even now where I'm taking a step back in like doing whatever I need to do, I have to train every day. So there's always going to be a way of working around like an injury. Like last year I had a couple months off and I was still on a bike for like a couple hours on a weekend because I needed that like
Yeah.
fix
Yeah, of course.
to deal with
And you're
stuff.
taking over too, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to keep my fitness high and
Yeah.
whatever. But I think like movements like non-negotiable, like
Yeah.
every day, even if it's like stretching, sauna,
Yeah.
like that's like a key.
It's always a progression.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But I think like you were saying about using things as a coping mechanism, like I did that with alcohol and with substances for a while, and you see that go very, very wrong very fast. In like, I've seen people back home that have actually like taken their lives because they've been in a
Okay.
position where they are under the influence
Yeah.
and things get too much,
Yeah.
and then you make like irrational decisions.
Big time.
And like, it's not to like bring up like names and people when you don't really know the full story, but you've seen it with Liam from One Direction,
Mm-hmm.
where he actually took his life, or that's
Yeah.
what's presumed,
Yeah.
and then they found drugs in his system.
Yeah.
And it's like, would he have made that one decision if he was sober?
No.
And that's what I always think with myself, is like I was getting to a point where I wasn't in control of myself for 2 or 3 days a week. And it's like, if something did, I've had things come up in the last couple of years that I think I probably wouldn't have dealt with that
Yeah.
properly. And not to say that I would have made that decision, but you never know when you're in that position.
When you're
like,
rock bottom and you use the
yeah,
substances,
and then like you are like like not in control. Then
Yeah.
it's like you lose grip really fast.
Mm.
Which is why I'm like so much more happier now as well, because I
Yeah.
know that I'm in control of everything.
Yeah.
Even if it's a variable that I can't control, I know I can work my way around it.
That's class. And a lot of
Yeah.
people have been watching your journey and my journey too and going, that's the right way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's also why I talk about even drugs quite openly,
Yeah.
because obviously like with the algorithm Instagram, it's hard to actually
Of
just
course.
talk about things in a certain way. But like a lot of people talk about alcohol and being dependent on alcohol, and alcohol wasn't really the biggest issue for me. It
Yeah.
was the other stuff. But
there are a lot of people that say they drink alcohol. They're not going to admit they're taking drugs. The
exactly, because
majority
it
of them
might
are taking
harm their
drugs.
like their like
Yeah.
image in a way, or
Yeah.
like working with certain people. And
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was like, I want to be authentic with everyone. And I want people to know the full story.
Yeah.
And also there might be lads that are in this position that are doing this stuff every weekend, think it's pretty normal when it's not, just because their friends are doing it and they don't see anyone talking about coming off the back of it and then doing all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, maybe there is a way out. They might not even want a way out at the moment, but
Yeah.
they don't realize they do need a way out, and they can't see a light at the end of the tunnel if they do. But then they see someone else doing it, come off the back of it, going sober and talking about it openly.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, maybe I can make a change. Maybe there
course.
is another life on the other side of this, and maybe I can do some amazing things outside of like.
And they
staying at
can.
home.
Everyone can. Of course
Exactly,
they can.
exactly.
They can definitely change. I was out recently, and this girl was walking around asking everyone for a packet for cocaine.
Yeah.
And because she wasn't enjoying herself until she had that cocaine. And I thought, how sad is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's sad. Like,
Yeah.
you need a drug to actually give you that confidence to talk to people.
Yeah. I
Uh,
was definitely like that at one point.
Were you?
Yeah, and it's mad because like you'd need a drink to try to talk to people, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'd go out in social situations and I'd be a little bit anxious, and I thought it's because I kind of didn't have like the ability to do it.
Yeah.
But then it's like when you take away all them things, you actually can. And now I can go out. I can go to an event on my own, like a premiere
Yeah,
for a movie.
you came to that event. Remember when I was with Paul and that?
Yeah,
You came by
I
yourself.
was on my own
love
because
that,
someone let me
yeah.
down, and
Yeah.
I can turn up and I can go in, I
Yeah.
can talk to people, and I can do
course.
what I need to do sober, and then still get home at a good time,
Yeah.
like, and do everything I need to do the next day and whatever. So it's like almost like actually when you remove it and you actually work on yourself and you build some confidence in,
Yeah.
you can actually get through that sort of thing without needing to drink or do drugs or
100%.
yeah.
Social health, I think, is a massive aspect. Like, yes, you can either go clubbing and have that environment of people, or you can go to your run clubs and you can start taking challenges. Obviously, High Rocks is a big movement right now.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you choose? Do you go down that route or do you go down that route? What social route are you going to go down?
Yeah, I think like for me, I took a big step back from being social when I went sober. I
Okay.
think it was like really important for me to actually, when I actually wanted to do it properly and stick to it, it was like, cool, I need to remove myself from certain environment. And then once you've broken them habits and that, you can actually reintroduce yourself. It's not, it doesn't have to be forever, but I think like nothing changes if nothing changes, right?
Yeah.
And if you do want to change, then you've got to give some things up. And maybe being social was like one of the trade-offs. At the same time, I met my missus, so that was also an easy way of removing myself from certain situations, because I was at home with her and we was with the dog and whatever,
Yeah.
and I think that was a massive factor in it in the beginning. But then I made new friends, and then we started doing things that didn't involve going out and drinking.
Yeah, because that happens as you get older. You meet new friends, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't be friends with your old lot, but
Yeah.
they might be completely different when it comes to the mindset or
Yeah.
or their journey, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to happen.
Yeah, I've got like friends from like different parts of my life,
Yeah.
like friends from back home, and then friends from back home that were more like school friends, and then friends that were like more in the later years,
Yeah.
and then I've got friends from like London, and then I've got friends that I've met more recently with training,
Yeah.
and we like go on these trips and do like races together and things like
Yeah.
that. And I think like you meet people doing all this stuff, and then you find out who's actually like into the same things as you and wants to do the same things with life as you, because there's also that's very different.
Yeah.
Because some people like are interested in the same thing, but they haven't got like the ability to like push themselves forward and stuff.
We'll come
and
out
then,
that comfort zone, right?
yeah, and then you end up getting stuck with them, and it's
Yeah.
like you can't carry everyone. Like
No.
sometimes you got to leave people behind.
Yeah,
to-
you have to. You
yeah.
have to. I've done that. I've done that all my life, to be fair. There's mates of mine that I can spend Super Sunday with and
Yeah.
have a few Guinnesses, but I'm probably not going to be with them on the Monday, Tuesday doing a high rock session or 15-kilometer run. And I understand that, and I don't expect them to do that either. And I love them for that, and I love these guys for that, and that's it. So pick your circles wisely.
Yeah.
Financial health. This is a question that all my podcasts. Oh God, I haven't been asked about this. And financial health, especially as a man,
Yeah.
I always say the two big things where men struggle with their mental health is dealing with breakups and dealing with their financial health. Because there's a lot of men who want to showcase that they're successful, right?
Yeah.
It's a big thing being alpha
Yeah.
male, you're successful. But there's a lot of men that aren't successful but try and showcase they are successful,
Yeah.
which leads to financial problems, right? I see it far too often.
Yeah.
Has your financial health improved? Not in the sense of like, has your bank balance improved, but has your financial health improved to the point where you deal with finances differently?
Yeah, I think the way that I viewed it changed like quite drastically, and I think I used to chase like another watch, the
Yeah.
next watch. I had like 3 Rolexes at one point.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point?
Yeah,
Do
do
you
I
know what I
need
mean?
that?
But at one point, I was like so obsessed with, I want a better car, I want this, and I think that becomes a bit unhealthy.
Mhm.
And then like you soon realize that once you do get all them things, they're not what they're like built up to be.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make you happy. And I thought at the time that's probably what would have made me happy. So I've got to a point now where I understand it a lot better, and I'm also happy with like what I have, and I'm very grateful for what I have. And I got to a point where I don't need anything else, but I still want to build, and I want like that comfort blanket, and I want to invest things, and I want to do better things with my life and with
Yeah.
myself. And you do need money to do that.
Of course.
So it's like
Well, there's a famous way, like money doesn't bring you happiness, but it brings you freedom.
yeah, exactly.
And so you want that freedom. I'm the
So
same.
so it's like I'm not like obsessed with it anymore, and I don't hold much of my value to like it either.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very important. I think the world kind of revolves around it now.
Yeah.
So it's like, but also discipline is freedom for me, and I think like I'm much more fulfilled working towards something and putting pressure on myself in that aspect, not
Mhm.
just working towards like a number or a figure. I
Yeah.
think that was what I used to put my value on.
Yeah.
And other people still do, and like it's fair enough if that's
Well,
what
look,
you
there's some
wanna do,
people
but-
different. Like I'm very money driven, and like I
Yeah.
love it. Like it makes me thrive. But of course, like sometimes, especially when I was younger, I had this aspiration, like this motivation or this picture that I was going to live in this massive mansion because all my clients were living in mansions. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
motivated me, and I love the fact that I was motivated. I look back now, I'm like, do I need to live in a massive mansion? Not necessarily. I don't need to put that
Yeah.
pressure on myself.
Imagine the upkeep.
The upkeep is
I'd be
crazy,
happy,
right?
like,
Yeah, no,
in
of
more
course.
Like I live in a really nice place in London. It's only
Yeah.
a 2-bed flat, but it's
It's
expensive.
lovely.
Like,
It is pricey where we live in.
do you know what I mean? But it's like there is like a certain standard I like
Yeah.
to live my life by, and I think I've got comfortable doing
Yeah.
that. And if you took it away, it would be a bit
Yeah.
like of a culture shock. But I don't need it anymore,
No.
which is important. I think.
But I'm more happier in my little cottage in the Cotswolds than I am in my apartment in London.
Yeah,
And it's crazy.
yeah,
And I think that's a maturity thing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel at peace in the Cotswolds, and I'm like, I think clearly. I come up with all these ideas. Whereas when I'm in my apartment in Fulham on the river, which has cost me an absolute fortune, I am in this state of stress.
Because you need
I need to
like,
do more. It's the hustle.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong, we need to hustle for sure. That hustle will never come. But finding that sense of calm is really important. Finding
Yeah.
that switch off. And something for me that I've really struggled with. And when I do switch off, and when I actually think about, see the path that I'm going on the journey, I make better decisions.
Mm.
So that actually improves my financial health.
Yeah, I think being like present is so
Yeah.
hard to do, and
It is hard.
that's what I've been working on. Which is almost like a spiritual thing as well.
Yeah.
But it all, like you said, it's a pillar, right? It all ties in together.
Yeah,
If
of
you take
course.
one away, you're gonna topple over.
No, of course.
But I'm the same. Like where I grew up by the sea in Plymouth,
yeah.
I used to take it for granted. I never used to go on the moors, like in the
Mm.
national parks, hiking, running, any of
Yeah.
that stuff. Didn't swim in the sea. I didn't do anything. I
Wow.
didn't even. And now all I want to do is go back and do that stuff.
Yeah.
It's mad. And now I live in the city like you in Fulham, like on the river, and it's kind of there, but it's not quite the same feeling.
Yeah.
Which is why I leave so much.
How often do you go back?
It's just a long drive, and I've
It
got
is
an
a long
electric
drive.
car.
That is a
It
long
makes
drive.
it even worse.
Yeah, that
but
electric car, man. I've done that before,
mate,
man.
the drive is annoying now because it adds on an hour, and
You need to get a hybrid, mate. Half and half.
it's better financially.
Yeah,
So I've
of course.
electric in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, like I do go back a lot, or I just find like a way of getting out in another sense, or
Yeah.
I'll go out to the countryside a lot. We've got quite a lot of trips planned. I think like
Mate,
removing
you should come to
yourself.
the Cotswolds, mate. You'll love it.
Yeah,
There's
well,
a great-
I'm going to do farmhouse for New Year's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I'll
But
give you a shout.
also, I think we're going Estelle Manor next month.
Estelle
Aaron's
Manor's really
birthday,
nice.
Yeah.
But like where I live in the cottage, I've got this 10-kilometer run on my doorstep, which
Yeah.
is hilly. It'll take you about over an hour because it's quite tough. It's
Yeah.
not an easy run like we do around the river.
Yeah.
And I think you'll actually love that.
Yeah.
Nice
yeah.
little challenge.
Yeah,
And
mate,
being
I'll
in the
come out
coun-
and stay
but being in the
sometime.
country is just, it's so nice.
Yeah.
We've only got 5 minutes left. Where's the next? What's the next 5 years for you? What's your goal? Can you see yourself living in the UK, or can you see yourself living abroad?
Do you know what? Like I've had this thought a lot, like especially recently
Yeah.
with like some of the stuff going on
Yeah,
with the government.
of
and-
course, because
Yeah.
you know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know what
I'm
you're doing.
moving to Dubai.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I think because of the dog, I don't want to go too far.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to like Marbella or something.
Yeah.
And just like train,
Yeah.
like maybe start a little business there,
Yeah,
do something
nice.
really cool. But we'll see in it. Like I just take things as they come a little
Mm.
bit. I think you can't plan too far ahead. There's things that I thought I'd be doing by 30 that I probably haven't done yet. And then
Isn't it crazy? We hit 30 and I still feel, I know I'm 30, but I still like, fucking, I don't feel like 30. When we was younger, we looked at a 30-year-old and you think they're an old man.
Yeah.
You think, oh, God, they
Yeah,
got
and
their
I've got
life.
to do everything
Yeah,
by then.
yeah.
But also, like, I've never been to the States.
Okay,
but
yeah, I can see you in the States.
I
LA's
would like
cool.
to
You
go
like-
and explore it and do some cool stuff
Yeah.
there. And I've got some opportunities, I think, that will take me there. Emily's just signed in LA.
Nice.
So she's getting her visa now and she's going to
Cool.
spend more time there. So I don't know, like, I do like London. I like being near enough to my family
Mhm.
and having someone to look after the dog and all
Yeah.
that stuff is, like, important. I won't say that I'll never leave, but I don't know how the way
You-
things
you
are
never
going.
know.
I
You
might,
never
yeah,
know.
exactly. There might be something like an opportunity that
Yeah.
that makes me leave. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But for me at the moment, it's like next year I've got some big plans. I've got some things that I didn't do this year because I was focusing on like training, which is still going to be a focus next year. But like financially, like business wise, there's a few different things I want to do. It's just keep leveling up in it. That's the
Always, mate.
yeah.
Always have that
And it doesn't
purpose,
mean like
always
that
have
doesn't mean
goal.
like make more money, but
No.
like yeah, it's just leveling up. I think that's the
I think when you level up in yourself, I think money comes anyway.
yeah.
Mate, last question we always ask our guests. What would you say is the key to success?
I think the key to success is like confidence and believing in yourself.
Nice.
I've always had this like image in my head of me doing something. Even when I was a kid, I used to know, I knew I was going to do something with my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had this drive and had this confidence, and it even almost like a bit naive in the start. But yeah, I think you've got to believe in yourself because no one else is going to believe in you, and you've got to do it. You've got to go fishing. The fish ain't going to jump in a boat. I love that saying.
100%.
So yeah, that's it.
Mate, what an answer. Mate, class having you on the podcast.
mate.
Excited to see your next challenge, mate. And yeah, we'll definitely need to train again soon.
Yeah, before you leave.
Yes, 100%.
Nice
Alright, mate,
one, mate.
wicked.
Cheers for having me. Nice one.